I went back and got my brain rescanned at the end. If you look at like a traumatic brain injury, he said that my cerebellum healed about 5 years in those 7 weeks. I remember one night when I went to bed, it was darker than dark. I felt like there was something evil in the room. It's 3 a.m., maybe 3:15 a.m. All I can think to myself is, I need to call my dad. And I sprinted into the kitchen and I went to grab the phone and it rang at 3:15 in the morning.
Welcome back to the Heaven Meets Earth podcast, where we discuss divine encounters, miracles, and all things Holy Spirit. I'm your co-host, Abby Robertson.
And I'm your other co-host, Ryan Bethea, and we are very excited. I mean, we're always excited because, as you can see, we are in a set where heaven is literally meeting earth. It is beautiful. We're here in the glorious Museum of the Bible, and with us today is a speaker, a best-selling author, a man who has dwelt among different types of people to learn their different ways and come back and report to us. So almost like an investigative journalist in the spirit. He also vanquishes spiders and is a renowned speaker who's actually spoken, we just learned this morning, has actually spoken at prayer breakfast at the White House. So he's been everywhere and somehow he found time for us. So please welcome the one, hopefully the only, Carlos Whitaker.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to give you a round of applause, both of you, for that introduction. And could you please pronounce my name correctly? It is Carlos.
Sí. Lo siento.
Oh,
Ahora
yes.
es tiempo para untar Carlos Whitaker.
Ya, muchas gracias.
Sí,
hermano.
lo siento. So,
Okay, this is
vamos a
amazing.
hablar en español para todo.
Todo.
Sí.
Wow, bro.
Muchas gracias, porque yo soy Rayón el León, el rey de la selva.
And I just
Conmigo is Abby.
he was a proud card-carrying member of your Insta Familia
Yes.
for many years
Yes,
now.
ma'am.
I've sent the Venmos. I've
Oh, let's
supported the
go.
Atlanta Piano
No
Man.
way. Oh, you've been back since back then.
Oh, yeah.
Abby. So, okay, I apologize. We're not going to talk anymore because she's actually my friend. Like, we've actually done life together.
Yeah, he used ChatGPT.
Yes.
You learn a
I'm
lesson
the
here,
real deal.
folks. Venmo is the way to the heart.
Yes. That's amazing.
But no, you have had a really interesting experience. Tell us about Reconnected, because you got to dwell among our Amish brothers and sisters, and you go to a Benedictine monastery and dwell among some Catholic brothers and sisters.
Yes.
So I'm curious. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, you know, I that all came from, I got a screen time notification that comes across on Sundays that tells you and shames you and lets you know how many hours a day you're spending average on your phone for the week, right?
It always hits in church for me.
It always hits in church for me too. And I was in church when this happened. And it said I'd average 7 hours and 25 minutes or 23 minutes the week before. And every time I always see that and I'm like, well, but this is what I do for a living. Like
Marketing.
I talk to my phone. Like, this is what I do. I help people.
Insta Familia.
Insta Familia, right? But then I felt Holy Spirit say, do the math. And I was like, oh, okay. So then in church, I did the math and that equals 49 hours a week. So I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. 2 entire cycles of the sun, I'm staring at my phone. Ew. You know, and I was writing a book called How to Human at the time. So it was kind of, I was like, okay, this is really not a good look. Then I kept doing the math. And that 7.5 hours a day equals, I think it was 102 days a year out of 360. I'm over 3 months of the year. I'm staring at a screen. 3 months. So really, if you do that's a sleep time and awake time. If that's just awake time, now we're 6 months.
Yeah, now it's getting real serious.
Now it's getting real serious. Then I kept doing them. I did one more equation. If I live to be 85 years old, I'll spend over 12 years of my life looking at my phone. That began the shocking turn of events and experiment that I did. So long story short, I flew to LA, got my brain scanned by a neuroscientist, did about 3 hours of cognitive testing. So I have the brain scan and I have my cognitive testing. And I wanted to do the cognitive testing piece because my father had dementia and I'm a big brain health guy. Then for the next 7.5 weeks, in the middle, I lived with 20 Benedictine monks for a few weeks. I lived with a Amish sheep farming family in Mount Hope, Ohio. And then I lived with my family in Nashville for 3 weeks. And the entire time, I never looked at an iPhone, an Apple Watch, a laptop, a TV, a single screen. I never looked at a single screen, never consumed anything. I'd never done that for more than, I think, in the last 15 years of my life, maybe a day. But so I did it for.
Did you just journal or take notes for?
Yeah. So this is what I did. I gave my phone, my laptop, everything to my best friend, Brian. He took it and then he drove me up to Valermo, St. Andrew's Abbey in the high desert of Southern California and just dropped me off. So I go there and I spend 14 days at 23 hours a day of silence with these brothers and fathers. And I'm not Catholic. And I was like, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand anything. They're chanting in Latin 6 times a day in the chapel. I've got no phone to tell me why they're chanting 6 times a day, because I want to ask ChatGPT. Okay, why do Benedictine, like, I just had to wonder. I just had to say, I don't know. I just had to, and the first few days were terrible, like physical manifestations of anxiety, heart palpitations, night sweats. Like literally I was coming off of some sort of drug. My brain was doing something. Day 4, it felt like an elephant stepped off my chest. And I could fully breathe again. I was like, oh, this is it. And then by day 7, I was like, okay, I love being married, but I really love being a monk. Like how can I figure this thing? Like the pace of their lives. Like I started to understand why they do this 5 times a day, why they spend so much time in silence, why they're so purposeful, why they're so, hospitable. Did that, lived with them, saw a new whole version of who God was through the Catholic lens, and just all of this beauty and mystery that I was like, why have I not learned this? This is so cool, right? Did that. Then I flew from LA to Ohio, and I moved into a Amish farm, and I learned to shear sheep. And it was completely the opposite of the monks. Like the monks, 23 hours a day of silence. Amish people don't stop talking. Like it was so much community, go, hard work. I was so exhausted. I've never been that tired in my entire life as I was sheep farming. If a sheep were to walk in those doors right now, like I could actually shear it in 5 minutes flat. Like I know exactly how to do it. New life skills at 50 years old. So I do all these things. And the whole time I did take a little mini Sony vlogging camera. And I took that because I wanted to record myself every night, basically so I could remember when I wrote the book,
Yeah.
Well, I ended up with like 60 hours of footage of me when I was done. And journal, I probably had 3 huge journals that I filled up. And I went back and got my brain rescanned at the end. And this is just crazy. Again, this is not a scientific study because I am the only data point. I'm the only lab rat, right? This is just me. It's purely experiential. But my cerebellum healed. If you look at like a traumatic brain injury, he said that my cerebellum healed about 5 years in those 7 weeks. And he said, but here's what's even more fascinating. Your cognitive memory score. When you took the test, when you were at your phone 7.5 hours a day, when you took that test, you were at the 50th percentile of memory for men in America. Now, after not looking at your screen for 7.5 weeks, you're in the 99th percentile of memory for men in America. He goes, there's only 1% of men in this country with better memory than you right now, which blew my mind. So I leave that and I'm like, okay, what do I do? Like, how do I didn't want to turn my phone back. My friend handed me my phone in LA. It felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I was like, I don't want to do this. But my wife's like, yeah, but like you make your living on that. So like, how do I do this? So it's really cool. I'm in this season now where it's called Reconnected, how 7 screen-free weeks with monks and Amish farmers helped me recover the lost art of being human, because I relearned all these lost art forms that we've stopped doing. Wondering, extinct. It's literally extinct. When people say I wondered, they're not wondering. They're asking the question if they should wonder. What wondering happens when you sit in not knowing. But now we don't do that. We pull out Google, the wonder killer, or ChatGPT, and it's over. So wondering is extinct. I had to wonder for 2 months. Solitude is extinct. It's literally gone now. Humans were created. I feel like the Lord created us to exist with solitude in our life. That's gone. It's extinct. It no longer exists. And there's all the intuition gone. Yelp and Bob from Toledo, Ohio, that gave 4 stars at the Chinese restaurant, is now in charge of our intuition. Is now in charge of like, I really feel like going there, but no, that guy told me not to. And so like navigating, getting lost, finding our way. I had to get on that Amish bike. He told me to go to the feed store. It's 15 minutes away. Took me 2 hours to get there because I got lost, right? But then I had to find my way. All of these beautiful things that the Lord has created us to do, that screens now do for us, were removed from me, the screens, and I fell back in love with all of these things. And now, all I do now, my screen time it's gone from 7.5 hours a day to 3 hours a day.
Wow.
So that's 4.5 hours a day. I've literally almost gained back 2.5 months of life a year
So what are the safeguards? Like, so for anyone listening going, okay, how do I balance out? I'm not going to LA. Is it Doc Amen?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. All right.
Yep,
Brain scan. So I'm not going to LA to get my brain scan because honestly, they say if you go to LA at all, you need a brain scan.
That's right. You need a brain scan.
But
especially if you've lived there.
Yeah. If you live in LA, you did ongoing brain scan.
Yeah.
But what would you say is like, all right, what's the convergence of, okay, I need to use my phone because I'm marketing media, et cetera, but also I want to experience this freedom from the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I tell people screens aren't bad. Like I've raised a lot. You're part of the Insta Familia. We've raised over $1.7 million because of stories I tell on my phone, right? The phone is not what you're addicted to. The phone is the needle. The drug is what's coming through it. So I tell people to really start looking for the drug. Don't look at the phone. The phone's just a screen with, technology. When you fall back in love with all the things on the other side of the screen, you pick up your screen a lot less. When you're so busy living, doing all of these fun things, you just pick up your phone less. And so I tell people, like, there's a couple of things you can do right away to get like 2 hours, literally 2 hours back a day. It's quite simple. If you get 1 hour back a day, that's a lot. And this is what you can do to do that. 1 hour a day. I guarantee every listener can get 1 hour screen time back a day.
Oh, let's hear it.
Go to Target, go to Walmart, walk down the home aisle and buy this really crazy invention called an alarm clock. And plug it in next to your bed. And don't plug your phone in next to your bed. The average American spends 30 minutes in bed scrolling and 30 minutes after they wake up scrolling. If you just buy an alarm clock, that will literally almost give you an hour back every single day of your life. And so I say buy an alarm clock. Second thing I did, I love the news. You know, I love the news. I talk about it all the time. I want to know what's happening in the world, all these things. But the news apps were like, that's where I looked, and that's where I was on X. I was just scrolling constantly. And I was like, okay, but I'm not learning anything new all day long. I'm like nothing new.
Yeah.
So I deleted the news apps off my phone. And I subscribed to this really crazy thing that they throw in my front yard every morning called a newspaper.
For our younger listeners, could you explain what that is?
So what happens is a guy in a Trans Am with a mullet comes by your house in the morning and he throws out this news. So I walk out every morning and I pick it up. And guess what? This newspaper tells me everything that happened in the world the day before. And I spent like 30 minutes reading it. I'm sipping my coffee. I'm not scrolling. There's nothing notifying me.
It's got that beautiful crunch, right?
It's got a crunch to it. And when it's over, when the news is over and I've read everything I want to read, if anything else happens on planet Earth, I'll find out tomorrow. These are the mind-blowing things that we don't think about anymore, that we actually don't have to know. Like, we don't have to move at the speed of the internet. We don't have to live that way.
I was prompted by our friend Stacy that said, I'd ask you about it may be a spiritual warfare adjacent question, but about a battle you had with anxiety.
Yeah.
And so does that ring a bell, the specific story she's mentioning?
There's actually a few stories like this, so I may tell you the wrong one, but this is actually
tell the best story. Tell the one. Ask Holy Spirit.
Which one is? Yeah.
Here's
Target or Walmart.
Yeah. So I've struggled with anxiety, like tremendous anxiety. I struggled with anxiety for a giant part of my life. Panic attacks, like I was home ridden for a few months, couldn't even leave my house, back down my driveway without panic hitting me.
What would set it up? What particularly would trigger that?
Nothing. Literally, I tell people, it just was part of me. I just was constantly shaking. Like it was horrible. I was totally fine one day, like literally fine. And then I had a panic attack leading worship on stage in front of a bunch of people. I thought I was having a heart attack. And from that moment on, everything was panic for me. It was horrible. I was always a worrier when I was a kid. Like, I just worried about things. Now, through a lot of therapy, I can go back and see, like, there were some near-death experiences I had as a child that I'm pretty sure rewired my neural pathways in a way that, was unhealthy, that I've had to, through, counseling, rewire, EMDR, a bunch of great therapeutic modalities. But I was struggling with anxiety, tons of fear when I was in college. And this is such a great story. I walked in the room almost like oppression, like demonic darkness kind of. I was living really out of the light. And I was living in a apartment in Rome, Georgia. I was going to Berry College. And I remember one night, when I went to bed, it was darker than dark. You know what I'm saying? Like I turned the lights off, but there was like a darkness in the room. I was like in a fetal position, like crying, like freaking out, like having panic attacks, like shaking. And I felt like there was something evil in the room. And I was like, Lord, protect me. You know, like it was probably, it was 3 a.m., maybe 3:15 a.m. I can't go to sleep. I'm shaking, panic attacks. And I think to myself, all I can think to myself is, I need to call my dad. I need to call my dad. But he was in Fresno. So 3 hours behind. I was like, it's 12:15. Like, I don't want to wake him up. But I was freaking out so bad. So again, I was in college, no cell phones. Okay, for people that don't remember this actually was a time period in U.S. history. So I leapt up out of my bed, almost thinking I could like hear voices. Like I was going crazy. And I sprinted into the kitchen and I went to grab the phone and it rang at 3:15 in the morning. And I just let it ring. And I thought, if I pick this phone up and I hear like the voice of the devil going, you know, like I literally thought that's what was going to happen. It's ringing. I'm freaking out, shaking. I pick the phone up and it's my dad. And he goes, Carlos, the Lord woke me up. I am praying for you. It's going to be okay. I don't say one word. He goes, pack your bags, pack the car, and come home. That night, I didn't go to sleep that night. I packed my entire Honda Accord with everything I owned, withdrew from college, gave the rest of my furniture to the Vietnamese family that was attached to the duplex next to me. I was like, everything's yours. And I drove to LA. And that began a lot of the healing of my anxiety. Was this really crazy, miraculous story of my father, again, the one that taught me how to hear the voice of God, waking up and saying, it's 3:15, but I'm going to call him. And it was him. It's crazy.
And you feel free from anxiety now, besides the pressure of being on this show and the like.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. You know, and I think that, you know, there's my anxiety journey was there were blips of it. I think getting married, well, that was before I was married. Once I was married and had kids, there was a man named John Elam in Nashville, Tennessee, who does heart sync, which is a form of inner healing prayer. And I met with him a few times. And for a lot of my physical anxiety symptoms was having heart palpitations and things. I went to visit him. And what he did was with the heart sync inner healing prayer, he basically says, and what heart sync does, it says that you have taken a part of your heart and removed it, a part of your heart that God created, and removed it because of shame or whatever. But that person that you're shaming, that old version of you, because I used to say things like, I hate myself. I hate that version of me. Well, that's a version of you that God created. Yes, they made bad decisions, but you can't keep saying, I hate that version of me in 2011, because God made that version. They were just protecting you from pain. Heart sync allows you to go back. It's so cool. Such a cool experience. Go back and come face to face with you in the part of you that you hate and ask for forgiveness from you. It's the craziest thing. And then you accept forgiveness from this version of you. And then you sync your heart back together. And when I went through 4 sessions with him, my heart palpitations in his office stopped and they've never been back.
It's time for our final 5 minutes. We don't really have a cool musical segue to like introduce the set. It'd be kind of go like, it's time for the word, you know, sports. Yeah. So it's a new tradition on the show. And we took a little bit of time. We pray for each of our guests.
Wow.
And we write it down. It's like the Academy Awards, right?
Yes.
Sealed in this envelope,
Look at
right?
that. In a museum of the Bible.
That's right. All right. And so
I have my own
the prophetic word, Abby, the nominees for a prophetic word are Carlos Whitaker. Would you?
Get out of
I have
here.
to open mine because I can't remember what I wrote.
Oh, look at that. She got stationery.
This is so cool.
Mine's not as fancy.
Yeah. You're going to read it to me.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Guys. This may be why I came to DC, just to let you guys know.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
I know. We got about 3 minutes left, so we'll share.
But I was praying for you this morning and I just saw like a lot peace, just very placid, still waters. And I felt led to Psalm 23:3. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And I just feel like God is he's really recentering your focus just on heaven, on the supernatural.
Yes.
He's taking you out of the natural and into more of his glory here on earth. I just got a sense of expecting more people coming your way, asking you about Jesus.
Wow.
God is leading lost souls to you.
Yes.
And I just saw, it's hard to explain, but just a really sad person. If you can picture just almost like a cartoon with really big eyes. It was all gray and black and white. And there were tears, like very big eyes, tears streaming down. And just like, it was an older person and not saying anything to you, but you just were looking at them and you just knew that she needed to hear Jesus. And I just felt like the Lord is saying like, he's going to bring them to you. And that it's just a season kind of marked by more, just a evangelistic outpouring of just really just a new spirit of holy boldness, holy confidence. And you really have a sense like there are people of God's love for all people, of all the people on this earth, and that there are people who are not going to heaven. They don't know where they're going next. You know what's on the line. And I just feel like God is really going to pour out his spirit on you and give you his words to say. And you're just like a kingdom shaker, kingdom mover.
Thank you.
Amen.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
And the other nominee for prophetic word, right?
Yes.
Typical guy fashion, a beautiful flowing eloquence. Guys, you know, guys, piece of paper, chicken scratch, like doctors now wrote that. So I'll give you the main one I saw is I actually saw the Toy Story, you know, the claw machine, the claw. Yes. And I just saw the claw coming down and you were like playing the game and it was like the claw grabbing the prize and picking up out of everything else. And it felt like the Spirit was saying, keep going after the prize and you're going to win the prize. It was like the idea was there's one prize you were going after above all else, and it was picking it up out of everything else and like bringing it back. And, you know, they're all like, ooh, run towards the prize. And this is way out there. You know what? This may not resonate, but I don't know. I saw the phrase New Guinea. And there was something about New Guinea with you.
Wow.
And so if that's from the Lord, yes. And if not, I don't know if Delta goes there.
Right.
Y'all can plan a trip.
They do have a global partnership, you know, with KLM Alliance. So thank you for coming on, Carlos. You have blessed so many people. And I can honestly say, I mean, your cerebellum is functioning fantastic. No, it's your gift of speaking. I mean, it's really cool to see. Just one of my favorite interviews we've done. I think many people are going to be super blessed by this.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.